Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of The Secrets of Government Contracting. I'm J.R. Flatter, your host, and this week we have the honor of having a distinguished guest, Dr. Denise Bacon. Dr. Bacon, I'll
Thank you.
pass it over to you to introduce yourself and talk to us a little bit about maybe your background and your company and anything else that comes to mind.
Hmm. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the honor of letting me chat with you for a few minutes. I don't often get to do that. As you know, being a small business owner, we spend so much time solving those problems that come up each day that sometimes taking that moment to step back and say, how did we get here? It's more a privilege. I mean, an honor and a luxury, not something that we can um, uh, dwell on for any length of time. So I thank you for this opportunity. Um, Denise Bacon, I have, my company is Shield Analysis Technology. We are data analysis looking at the bio threat and the adversary who can present that threat. While the focus is in areas of weapons of mass destruction, we do some data analysis in other areas, and particularly in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Because we recognize that to mitigate the threat, to mitigate the capability that is presented by any of our adversaries, we've got to have a workforce that can do that. And I'm also driven by a couple of things that when I was young major, I had a boss, Colonel Philbrick, who, with all of the things that he taught me as a plans analysis and evaluation. By trade in the military, I was an operations research systems analyst. And most of us went into an area in the military they call plans analysis and evaluation. We were the ones who did the budgeting for the long term, not for this year and maybe for next year, but it was that long term. And he said that one of the requirements of what we were doing was to think of it not from the dollars, but these were the war fighters. And our job was to give them tomorrow, to provide them the resources they needed to come home, to survive, but to survive in such a way that they can continue their lives. They learn from what they do. And I've used that in the work that I do. The adversary is not one who is one to be defeated, but it is to mitigate the threat to our environment, to our warfighters, to our way of life, so that we give everyone that tomorrow to make the change, to bring peace, to do whatever. And so that's what guides us, guides me, and those who are part of our company. I make sure they understand there is a job they do, but it contributes to the whole. And that's kind of where we go. So for Shield, our clients, from DITRA to what was used to be ECBC, I think there's CCDC now, and our now National Science Foundation, we have a grant. We're part of a grant that teaches quantum literacy. That, again, we're trying to give them their tomorrow, that they can be part of that change, that innovation. Quantum will be part of a significant part of that technology that changes. And with that change will come opportunity for career paths, for innovation, for making a stance for some significant force. And so we want to give them their tomorrow.
Oh, that's amazing. Part of the cool thing about being in this industry is, at the end of the day, we're a for-profit business. Revenue must exceed expense, but for many of us, it's continuing to serve. You're continuing to serve. We're continuing to serve.
We are.
It's really in the Department of Defense, um, all across the whole of government, um, serving alongside our civil service partners, our
Mhm.
military partners. So our audience are our peers for this podcast. So as you think
Mhm.
about how you started your business, how you're sustaining your business, how you're growing your business, what advice or insights might you offer your peers?
Let's see, let's see, when I started the company, it was 2007, and by myself, but I just was committed to bringing what I saw was a dearth of understanding of the adversary. We were so busy calculating information and gathering on the attack and on the type of attack. But let's look at the individual. Let's see what is driving them. What are some of those network associations that are creating these opportunities for them? And I wanted to make sure that that for those, it was mostly DoD, but from a Homeland Security perspective, let's look at that adversary a little bit different. And as a matter of fact, it's really one of the ways that I was introduced to multi-threat that was coming from the Red Sea region, the Northern Africa, because it wasn't just that there was a problem area. These were people. What was driving them? Because it wasn't that the problem was going away. You had to recognize it would continually be there. I wanted the why. And I think when people start a company, if there is a why you want to solve or a how you want to solve, you have right within that a market. You have a need that has to be solved. Make sure you market it to the appropriate audience because the need is there. You have to make sure, though, that you're marketing it to the appropriate audience and to that audience's ancillary influencers, because they can then create for you the avenues to introduce it to the people who can help you help them solve their problem. And for most of us, that's truly what we want to do. We want to create that environment that we can help to solve the problem. Yes, we are for profit. At the end of the day, we want to make sure our employees can pay their bills, can solve their problems. But there is something driving us to get up every day, to go to work, to look at the data, to analyze the problem and try to come up with a solution. And that's what if we convey that commitment to the client, that helps them understand we're there for them. Yes, we will make a profit, but if we make sure they understand we're there to help them solve their problem, achieve their mission, create a new environment, it makes the business more than the for-profit. That's just a part of the whole.
Sure. You talk a lot about, it sounds like you have a very focused market niche or value that you're delivering. Sounds like you have a very strong culture, core values. You mentioned something interesting that you called marketing, that we might call on our side capture or other terms. Um, what is your experience on how best to go about marketing or capturing?
The best capture. I think I've been blessed because when I got out of the military, when I retired, I took a few years off to get my PhD. I had already retired when I got mine. I was not, as with some others, they already have it. But when I was in that learning environment, because it was in biodefense. I was lucky too that the head of the program was Ken Alabek, a former Russian scientist. He had defected to the United States, and he created for me an understanding of the threat. And I think leveraging those opportunities for me were a benefit, so that when I understood, it helped me understand both sides of the market, those who create the threat and those of us who want to mitigate the threat. So to go into capture, you have to have a true understanding of your market. And where are you in that market? Yes, you want business, but that's vague. Where are you in that timeline, in that stream of thought? In it, are you at the end that's mitigating? If you are, or if it's something that's positive, are you creating? Are you creating opportunity? Are you creating solutions? Are you creating? If you are, then there is a market. Who best benefits from that? Walk that line all the way through. I'm a social network analyst. I create those social networks. There's some place, there is a nexus that creates getting to that nexus of individuals, organizations, opportunities, provides you one time to talk to all of them. Entering that social network at that nexus offers you the capability to present your thinking, your solutions, your tools. It's more than a vague philosophical concept. You bring something to the table. How to solve it, mitigate it, do what, and then how it benefits them, shortens their time frame, better uses their dollars, increases their capability, broadens their horizon. Fill in that. And if it fills in more than one, that's even better. That's the approach we take.
No, that's great. And all about differentiating yourself and bringing unique value to set yourself apart from the other 100,000 people telling the same story.
And that's a big problem. And it's very daunting. It's extremely daunting when you first come. I know I came into this as a scientist. I really and truly felt that the science would make a difference. And I firmly believe that, but I had to become a businesswoman at the same time. So it was melding those two together and creating this new entity, Denise Bacon, this new entity who could retain the capability that the science brought, but attack it with using the tools of the business world. And it's bringing those two things together that offers the opportunity to solve the problems, and it energizes you too, because when you solve that first client's problem, I know it did for me. I solved a problem. They felt good. They were smiling. I was jazzed on that. Oh, wow. I really, it's one thing to do it in the military and you've got your hierarchy and you go in. I remember once I had to cost at the battalion level all of the requirements. I did that. We went in, we went to the PBC, we got our money. That's fine. To me, I was doing what they told me to do. I was an operations research systems analyst. Okay. And that's the way they took it too. It was creating for me experience, capability, understanding. But to do that when you're in the business world, because you don't just have your piece, you have to understand your client's need and how that fits into their whole. And make sure that it maintains that balance that they need. All of those things create for us as business people an ecosystem, and we find out where we are in that ecosystem, and then we can blossom, in my opinion. And I
Oh, great.
firmly believe there's enough out there for all of us if we're bringing something good to the table.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a huge market. That's
Mm-hmm.
why, with my next question, I'm not afraid to ask you about one of your secrets because I know you have them, but also it's a huge market and there's room enough for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you would kindly share one of your secrets of success.
I think it's just doing what Colonel Philbrook told me, to make sure I kept in mind that we're giving our, whether it's the warfighter because I'm doing DOD, or it's my students because I'm teaching, or as like with our National Science Foundation grant, those participants who we are trying to train with quantum, we're giving them tomorrow. And if we keep that focus, we will do the best we can, challenge ourselves, find out where are the problems, reduce the risks, determine where the best opportunities are, not only for us, but for those who are the students, the participants, the client. And don't always achieve the balance, but go for the balance, but make sure that we keep that in mind, because the dollars follow. They do. There are days it's tough. I remember a couple of times going in, you know how we go to those association meetings and there's always a lunch, and you walk in and you think, not again. And you wonder, is it worth the value? Is it worth what we just dropped to attend this and to go to the private meetings? And is it worth it? You get past that, and you recognize the why. You keep the why right there.
Mm-hmm.
Then that to me is the secret. It's holding on to that at the bare bone times, at the really difficult 3 o'clock in the morning, that you have to get that RFP answered, and it's got to be in by 11, and you still are, you haven't even, don't talk white, you haven't even gotten to pink and the red, you're still pulling it together. Keeping that in mind, it helps. It does. It really helps.
Perfect. Thank you. So, last thing,
Mhm.
if you could please offer us 2 or 3 referrals
Mm.
who we might invite for future distinguished guests such as yourself. Military, civil servant, businessmen, businesswomen, whomever you think would be of value.
Have you ever had Dr. James Giordano?
I have not.
Fantastic. He is a leader in, now he's he does teaching at NDU and Georgetown University, but he's a consultant as well, and he has chosen to remain a consultant intentionally so that he can do some of these other things. And that offers another avenue to look at how we can approach this. If you intentionally choose to remain a consultant, because it leaves certain things open to you. And how do you do that and become successful in it, and become a known entity for your subject matter expertise? So I will make that introduction for you.
Thank you.
Trying to think of who else. Jim came to mind immediately,
Yeah,
but
one's enough. If you want to
okay,
just
he is
send us one in
absolutely
the email.
fantastic. You just give him one question, he's going to go. It just is.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Look forward
Thank
to
you for
continuing
this
to work with
opportunity.
you and talk to you. I am going to start that quarterly get together. So
Oh,
I'm going to
please, I will be
I'm
there.
going to create a invite, and we'll just pick a day and a time that works and get it out there.
Okay,
So thank you so much, Denise.
Thank
and
you.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Happy 4th.
Yeah, you too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.